Welcome to our second ASA podcast. I'm Julia Smuts Louw, and today I'm chatting to Phil Lorin, a man who went from San Francisco beat cop to the writer of Pixar's hit Cars.
And you walk into these stories that just tell themselves right in front of you. And I remember I had a notebook. Every cop has a little notebook in their breast pocket. And from front to back, we would use up the pages putting down suspect names and descriptions. But whenever I would get an amazing idea, I would go to the back, and then I would work from back to front.
Phil was in Cape Town to share his skills with Storylab's 4 budding feature writers. So what did he make of Triggerfish's bid to find the next great African blockbuster?
I'm quite impressed.
Cool.
I kind of love all 4
Right.
in different ways, and it's great how they sort of represent different aspects of the continent.
Was there anything that surprised you as just your expectation of what a South African story might be? Or did you already knew what some of the projects were about?
I didn't.
Okay, so you were coming in cold.
A little bit, yeah. I knew a couple of the titles, or maybe a log line or two. But yeah, I mean, I like Lemmings, for example, Cliff. I just really responded to.
Right, cool.
And I thought that, I mean, I love the idea of Lemmings, and it hasn't really been done. And I thought it was told in a really unique way. There's like a tribalism angle in it, and I felt like, as an American coming to Africa, tribalism is a little bit more relevant over here. And so it was a way to kind of bring an African value, if you will, into a real palatable mainstream story, so that I would get it and understand, what a tribe mentality could be. And then and hopefully help deliver that.
I was quite interested as well to see a few of the finalists, and I think some of the guys that are going ahead with Storylab now. They've got a very strong passion for sci-fi, and we are seeing more and more sci-fi coming out of South Africa, which I think is a sign of a healthy society that's not like just obsessed about certain stories that have to be told because you're in the thick of something overwhelmingly political or whatnot.
Or the exact opposite. It's horrible and they just want to escape.
Want to get the heck out, or make comment from it from the safety of the stars.
No,
or something
but you're right.
Like that.
I think it's a good sign.
So out of those stories, I know there's Naz is doing the Wild West, and then Kay's doing Lights. If you see a story like that, do you, as a consultant from the States, do you have a sense that you should encourage those aspects of it that have an African feel? Do you think that's what an international audience will respond to, or is it safer commercially to make something that feels very universal and very American, for lack of a better word? That's our audience that we're always aiming for.
It's a trade-off, right? Because I mean, how can you restrict? There's so many individual voices over here. I mean, they run the spectrum, right, of things that stories they're going to want to tell. And if they're all, futuristic and don't necessarily relate to Africa, I mean, there should be room in the market for those. There should be room for stories that are more, tied to life in Africa. I think more is more. So, I encourage Africans to dream into the future and tell stories that are around them. I suppose the perfect marriage would be somehow informing that future world. The one I looked at yesterday was Babalwas.
Oh yeah.
Which is futuristic. And I guess that would be a great example of a story that is absolutely African in its comment about values and tradition and holding on to them, while the rest of the culture may want to run away with technology and kind of forget where they're coming from. And so this sort of set way in the future where those two ideas have become nations and have become divided. And so it's about the message is about balance and realizing that we are nothing without the other half of the equation. So that was good.
Are you finding lots of different responses from the different kinds of writers to the idea of working collaboratively? Because that's something so specific to animation that you can sort of get away without in other disciplines. Like if you're a comic writer, like I know a couple of these guys come from a comic background, and you could just be used to sitting in a room doing it by yourself, and now in a world where constantly there's bouncing off people.
Absolutely.
Maybe in a way that gets under your skin.
Yeah, I mean, actually, they're probably better at it than I am.
Oh, right.
Nobody really likes criticism, but I think that just by the very nature of how young Africa is in kind of getting into the global sort of, film scene, that they have a healthy amount of humility, and they're walking into the process really, really open. And so I was actually pretty impressed. It's a veteran skill to have, to be open and not take personal offense. But just by the nature of, where they are and the fact that they want influence and they're requesting it from the outside, that they're extremely open. So I didn't see much of that. I saw a lot of people that were furrowed brows for the right reasons. Like, okay, that changes everything, but I'll roll with it. Like having myself come in, or anyone else from the outside, and kind of speak into these projects is probably really healthy for the process, because you get really insulated with, the voices that are here and that are maybe too close to the project, and therefore, maybe unable to speak big new ideas into the project. So it's a little bit shocking when someone from the outside comes in and says, well, what if we leveled that house? There's quite a bit of blank stares, like, okay, that changes everything.
Yeah, I think no matter how mature you get in that process of having a thick skin, it's still just pure exhaustion to think of taking something apart when you've built it so carefully. So
yeah. I hate it.
Who doesn't? But you mentioned Keel earlier, so Keel Murray, your writing partner, and your
yes.
wife?
She is, yeah.
So
yeah. We're stuck with each other.
That must be one way into getting used to a collaborative process, is to just make it the cornerstone of your very existence.
Good point. Yeah. And also to lock yourself in, to not be able to run away from it. Two things. One is it's wonderful having someone there you can bounce stuff off really early on and just get shot down. Writing with someone is an additional step. It's hard. It's harder than doing story with someone, but we work good together, I think. And in writing together is story together for the most part, right? You're sitting in a room, you're talking, and then the actual sitting down and writing it's very solitary. So in a way, you're not really writing together as much as you are, telling a story together, and then maybe somebody will take a turn writing it, and then they'll pass it back, and then so we take turns writing. Do
you guys do the whole, you try the same scene as me and we'll see who comes up
with
the better?
We kind of never do that.
All
it's usually you take the first pass and then give it to me.
Oh, the whole thing?
Well, of the scene,
okay.
Let's say, and then we'll talk it out, because usually we've already talked about what's going to happen, so it's not going to be a crazy twist. But taking turns, like, oh, okay, yeah, and then you plus it, and then you plus it, and then back and forth. So it's been a great thing, actually, having somebody really close that you trust, who knows what they're talking about. Keel's very honest and very brutal, and has no tolerance for bad story, so she'll tell you that, and I love that, right? I'm more careful and too nice, so.
Well, they've got that culture of candor that they've developed at Pixar. I don't know if you'd like to talk a little bit about that and how you arrive at that point. Is it a good point to arrive at? Is it something you take with you to another writer and they might be surprised at that sort of interaction? Yeah,
it's pretty healthy for the most part. It's extremely brutal, and it's not for everyone. I mean, a lot of people just want to tell their story, and they don't really want to get that hurt. And so, I mean, I can see how it scares a lot of people away. And there are people that sort of wash out from the Pixar system of brutal honesty. But I think it generates some fantastic stories.
Absolutely. And
that reach a lot of people. Yeah. And I think that if that's your mandate, then I think that's the way to go. And they've been the most successful at that. Yeah. If you want to tell a really idiosyncratic story about a place of the world that nobody knows, I mean, I think there might be a little bit more latitude to tell the story your way. But there's something really universal about story, that no matter where you're from, recognize a bad story from a good story. So even if you're in the middle of the Congo or something, and you're telling a really, really Congo-specific story, there's still so many conventions that you kind of have to learn and master, and then deliver to get a story that will leave the area and exist on its own. So Pixar's a great model for that.
Do you think nailing down that formula, like when you first discover some of these conventions, I know for myself, I feel like I found some sort of precious jewel in a video game. You've discovered another rule that's proper to stories, and like this is something that should function this way in every story. But the more you hone it down, I sometimes wonder whether we'll end up watching the same movie over and over again because people latch onto one version of it over many, many movies in different forms. And I sometimes wonder whether we'll see at some point like a whole new fashion with a whole new set of conventions. And then we'll discover that there was a whole other type of story that we didn't even think of because we were so busy doing this one. Like maybe French cinema versus American cinema is an example of how that can pan out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a concern, right? Is there's a group think mentality, and everyone kind of slowly moves towards change or evolves, and I think that's why we have a real healthy, independent film marketplace for people to come in there with brand new takes, fresh perspectives, and I think you can have some sort of shocking changes in the way people, as a mass, machine, are telling stories. It's hard to change from the inside out, and so that's what's great about having smaller studios and more varied voices, is to add that voice into the dialogue of like what should cinema evolve into.
So, but just to talk about your background a little bit, maybe take a few steps back.
Sure.
I know that you started out, you studied philosophy.
Yes.
Is that right? And then became a cop, which is a family profession, as I understand it.
It is.
And worked Vice.
Yep.
How did that translate for you? Like, how did that transition work? Did you take a lot from your real life experience into story, and how did it happen?
Good question. I think I always wanted to write. I was always writing, even at night when I was a cop. So I didn't have a lot of modeling that you could do it for a living. And so it was just kind of the thing I did for myself because I had to.
So you found your way into story just through like a passion that you'd always had.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So it was always there, and I remember, being a cop, a young patrolman, in the Mission District of San Francisco, and you'd walk into these stories that just tell themselves right in front of you. And I remember I had a notebook. Every cop has a little notebook in their breast pocket. And from front to back, we would use up the pages putting down suspect names and descriptions and violent crimes and just terrible, horrible things. But whenever I would get an amazing idea, I would go to the back, and then I would work from back to front.
Wow. With
all these story ideas.
Do you still have those notebooks?
I did. I saved them. Yeah. And so there is something fantastic from a sociological point of view about being a cop and entering people at these horrible points of their lives. To just really saturate yourself with just dilemma, characters, just humor and drama and tragedy and all these really rich life experiences, and then condensing them all down into 10 hours of work. And it's from a research point of view, and I say this all the time. It's like the strongest, best bit of like education you could give yourself as a writer, it's like a degree. It's like a degree in humanity. Yeah. Right. It's like a sociology thing.
I think that's something that a lot of writers kind of sometimes realize too late is, damn, I should have had the other career first, so I had some material.
I should have gotten out into the world a little bit. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So I could be John Grisham and just like choose a case file.
Or you could just read a lot. I wish I read more, but
that's why so many writers have writers as characters.
Yeah, right. It's like their worlds
this infinite hall of mirrors.
Small. And that's not the only way. But that's just that helped me, and so it was inevitable that I would eventually sort of leave the police department and then go writing on my own. I don't regret having been a cop, but I'm glad that I only did it for 6 years.
And were your family surprised to see you suddenly in the world of family movie entertainment?
Absolutely. I mean, my mom, didn't really want me to be a cop, but it was kind of a family thing, so she's already swallowed that pill once, and so then once I became a cop, then she got so used to that when I thought about leaving, she's like, oh, but think about your pension and your health insurance. So then she was keeping me a cop. So once I left, it was pretty shocking to not have any income for, just to cut myself off and start writing.
So you just jumped off the cliff into...
I did.
Wow.
I had been writing a script for a while and just not having enough time and wishing I could transition to doing that full time. And then I did. I quit. I'd saved up enough money and I lived for a while writing, and it was kind of where I taught myself how to write. I was reading a lot of the books and just reading scripts and then just trying to hack through it myself. And I took to it because it was something I had liked and I'd been writing for years. So it wasn't that hard from sort of a technical point of view, right? Get the software and it kind of writes itself, but I ran out of money. I quickly ran out of money because it took so long.
Well, so did Charles Dickens, so you're in good company.
Did he?
Yeah.
So I had to rent out my place because I couldn't afford it. I went down into the Tenderloin, which is like kind of the seedy part of San Francisco, downtown, and I became an apartment manager. And that would allow me to just kind of be at home managing the apartment. It was like a 57-unit building, 12 stories, and I was in the bottom as the manager, And so I did that for a while, and then the opportunity at Pixar came up that they were hiring a writer, and my wife was there as an assistant to a producer, and her boss knew that we were writers and that she liked our writing, and she said, well, you guys should just submit, and I'll slide it in, and we'll see what they say. So I stayed up for like 2 weeks straight writing, totally derelict at work. And I got called in after 2 weeks to my boss's office, and I got fired. Sorry, just backing out. So we submitted the script, and I didn't hear anything, for a week or whatever. I got fired from my job, right? Because I was so derelict for writing the script.
Right.
And then later that afternoon, we got the call from Pixar that we got hired.
Oh,
all
wow.
in one day. So it was a little bit
So you only had
emotional.
A few hours to sit in a bar drowning your sorrows and wondering what you're doing with your life.
Yeah, so that's one of the best days of my life.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it was worth it. And it's a testament to John Lasseter and who he is as a person, that he would be willing to take a risk on some pretty unproduced writers. And I think in part it was an underestimation of the story process in general. They thought that they were much closer to being finished with the project because we were replacing one writer that was leaving.
Was that Cars?
That was on Cars. And Dan Fogelman was rolling off because he had a TV show. And so they were hiring us, I think it was 6 weeks initially, or 12 weeks or something, and then we ended up staying 2 years.
Wow.
So I you know what I mean? Like the story when we came in took some turns, and kept turning and turning and turning, and stories, it's easy to underestimate it.
Oh yeah, it's encouraging in a way to hear that even there at the very top of the game in the world, they still make massive underestimations as to how close they are to finishing.
Is it encouraging though? Because I don't think it's really a hard thing to swallow that even the best of the best are struggling. And
I think
there's
it's really,
no
really
way
encouraging.
to not struggle. That it should be, but I think anyone else that's writing something right now is in hell, and they're like, there has to be a better way.
It can be a very private hell as well.
Yeah.
Which is,
so it's encouraging that everyone's going through it, but it's also like
nobody can help
so
you.
Discouraging because you want to think there's a better way. There has to be a way out of this. I'm doing something wrong. It can't suck this way. I should have more concreteness in this.
There's got to be some baby steps to inspiration,
But I mean,
no.
there's little ones, but it's terrible. It's like one of the hardest things. any other profession, I mean, you can learn you can read a book and you can apply it, and you have like a concrete, progress. In story, it's so subjective. It's like subjectivity on subjectivity, and you come out the other end, and sometimes you have something worthwhile, and sometimes you got to go back through the tunnel.
And sometimes you won't know, I guess, until you see the box office.
In many ways, you don't know. And even then, it's like, oh, they released my film poorly. The world wasn't ready for it. Exactly.
It came up against something similar.
There's always something.
So, well, I guess that means there's no answer to my next question, which is like, what is the silver bullet? Like, how do you call the muse? What's been your best trick to sort of make something happen when it's not happening? Like when it's not coming, how do you get there? Go for a hike.
Certainly that helps, and there's some lovely hikes around here.
Mm-hmm. So you're not a lock yourself in a hotel room kind of guy.
Sometimes you have to. Yeah, sometimes I am, but you end up. It's so personal. You end up sort of needing to just strip everything away and just get back to whether it's the original idea or you get down to that one character and you put yourself in their shoes. What would I do? Look around you. Look at all these boards just filled with ideas that are just clutter, and there's a little thread through each of them that you just have to kind of find. So if I had a magic bullet, I definitely wouldn't tell you.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Perseverance, right? Because if this really is hell, it's like you just have to get out of it. Good company, have people you trust, and be very open. Just be really transparent and open, because it's a process and it's collaborative, and you have to trust it. So if you're alone and you're struggling, then you should probably go find a group to go struggle with.
Yeah.
That might help you pull out of it a little bit. Just a little bit of interaction, hearing someone else's story.
So
makes
not
you
even
think
a group
of
about your project, just a group of anybody talking about anything.
Yeah, or both. I think both apply. So
I was really interested to read a blog about the introvert's brain versus the extrovert's brain, and how information actually goes out and comes in through different parts of it. So where you get one kind of person who will be inspired and energized by talking something to life, that will terrify another kind of person who wants to bring it to you when it's perfect, and then talk about it.
Yeah.
So I think animation and the collaborative sort of process that's been born there favors one kind of thinker, but the other kind has to just get used to it, I guess.
Again, a little bit of both. A little balance is best. You got to be able to have your own ideas. Yeah, there's nothing worse than having someone that's just like rudderless, right? And they're just like, well, we can do this, and what if we do this story and you can do that? No, something totally different. Okay, let's go that way. How about if we do this? And it's like you need a little bit of ballast. You need someone to be steering and have some sort of soul and concreteness to them. And then the introvert comes in with nothing but that.
And they're like, this is the
I
thing
have a
that
vision,
it's going to be,
and I want to execute that vision. And it's like, but that could use a little perfecting. And it's like, what? No, that's no longer my vision. So yeah,
kind of see their heart break a little bit.
Yeah. So it's the answer to life, balance.
Please excuse the lunchtime noises in this recording. We did not wish to come between the animators and their sustenance. That's it from this month's Roving Reporter. We hope to see some of you at Discop from 4 to 6 November, where Animation SA will be holding an animation lounge in partnership with Animation Magazine, Digital Lab Africa, and Turner Kids.